Hello all and welcome to the webinar today, 7 Best Practices for Marketing to Teachers. Thanks for joining us. We're happy you're here. In the next 30 minutes, you'll learn 7 surefire ways to capture this market and hear how leading brands like Target and Tom's and Headspace launched an exclusive offer for teachers to help acquire new customers, increase revenue, and create lasting relationships. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be available on demand after the live session. We'll be sending out a post-webinar communication, which will include both the slides and the recorded presentation. We hope you find the content useful, but if any questions come up, please feel free to ask them throughout the chat window. We'll be answering them at the end of this webinar. Before we get started, I'd like to briefly introduce you to our speaker today, Bill Schneider. As VP of Product Marketing at SheerID, Bill helps drive product direction and education of its digital verification platform. Over his 20-year software career, Bill has held key roles with leading software companies in customer analytics, big data, shopper marketing, and mobile engagement. He regularly consults with leading consumer brands, providing best practices on how to build highly personalized communication programs across channels at scale. And with that, I'll pass the mic over to Bill.
Thanks, Kelly. And hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. For the next 20 to 25 minutes, I want to share with you the latest best practices that we've assembled in working with dozens of leading retail brands, software brands, and subscription brands on how to build high-performing teacher campaigns. I'll start by sharing our latest data from a recent survey of over 500 teachers that we did late last year. We'll talk about the size of the teacher market and also their latest attitudes on promotions and discounts. Then I'll share 7 distilled best practices that our strategy team has developed that you can take with you into your next campaign. And as Kelly mentioned, we'll finish up with a case study from Tom's Shoes. So teachers are a very large and meaningful customer segment. The segment consists of 4 million K through 12 teachers, 1.7 million college faculty members, and 1 million administrators. They spend more than $1.5 billion on school supplies and other products. And as we know, teachers and educators are highly influential in their community. More to the point, they're very loyal to the brands that they feel treat them well and recognize them in the community. 94% of teachers reported that they will go out of their way to shop at a company that offers a teacher promotion. So as I mentioned earlier, we, along with our marketing partner, Agile Education Marketing, surveyed over 500 teachers around the country, asking them about their spending habits for their classroom. And we found a number of very interesting findings. The first of which is that as school budgets have been tightening across the country, teachers are doing their best to make up the difference. Teachers' wallets are feeling the pinch. Their out-of-pocket spending, they reported, jumped dramatically last year to $652 over the year, a 39% jump from last year. As you can see, we have been doing this study over the last 5 years, and this is the highest level that we've seen to date. And the impact is pervasive. Over 70% of teachers spent over $500 over the course of the year. And several spent upwards of over $1,000. In fact, one incredibly dedicated teacher in North Carolina reported to spend $7,000 last year on school supplies. There's no question that teachers are dedicated to supporting their kids in their classroom, and they're looking for support. 88% of teachers reported to explicitly seek out brands that offer discounts to help them alleviate the pinch they are feeling in supporting their classrooms. Breaking it down a step further, teachers were more interested in discounts for school supplies than they were on their own personal items. But by and large, they were interested in discounts and promotions on both categories, as we can see. Looking at breaking it down even further, here's the full breakdown as we looked at a number of different categories and polled them on where they typically use teacher promotions and discounts. We can see that they used these types of promotions for lots of different shopping categories. Across the board, at least 70% of teachers use them for all categories. Travel, big purchases like purchasing a car, so on a personal level, and apparel fell into the category of the 70% range. Then you have the top performers. Nearly 85% of teachers look to promotions for computers or going out to eat at a restaurant. And as we covered just a moment ago, the number one category is for office supplies, seeing over 90% of teachers use promotions for this type of purchase. We then asked them, how do they find out about deals? And ironically, it wasn't directly from brands through email or traditional marketing, although those were effective. Instead, the number one way in which they find out about deals is through word of mouth. 80% of them heard about teacher-oriented promotions from other educators, and 52% from friends and family. Social media, which is another form of community in connecting with friends and family and peers, was also a strong performer. So when reaching out to this group, think about how you can tap into their network or tribe. Okay, so now let's switch gears and go from looking at some of the data to looking at how you can apply the data through the best practices that we've seen in working directly with brands. The first technique that we recommend is to build a promotion that is exclusively available for teachers. And this you may come across as something called a gated exclusive offer. I wanted to first define what a gated exclusive offer was and then talk specifically about how it works. So a gated exclusive offer is a promotion that is designed specifically for a target member, and it's protected for that particular group based on their occupation, in this case, teachers, or it could be life stage or affiliation. Now, here's an example of a gated exclusive offer promotion that Rothy's is using. You can see the creative that they're using on their page. And most importantly here, in terms of making a gated offer truly gated, is verifying eligibility. Verifying eligibility is what makes an exclusive offer truly exclusive for your target segment. So in this case, Rothy's is asking teachers to verify their eligibility to redeem the reward on the other end through their promotion landing page. And I'm going to show you in a second what that form looks like. But before we do that, I just wanted to also highlight that your landing page for a gated offer promotion, in addition to being a great destination for your paid marketing campaigns, properly constructed, it will also serve as a very strong driver for organic search. Invariably, your customers will typically look to see if you got a discount for a specific group. They might, enter your brand name and then write teacher discount or student discount or military discount. And so what we see our customers report is that organic search is typically the number one method in which customers are finding these types of programs. So it's extremely important to really tune your landing page and optimize it for organic search. Organic search is a stronger performer than typical promotions like email or affiliate networks. So I really wanted to emphasize this point. Okay, now let's take a look at the verification form. So here is where the form that is used to allow a teacher to provide some of their credentials to demonstrate and prove eligibility that they are actually a teacher and can receive a reward. Once a teacher clicks through, they're presented with this form that asks them for a few easy to provide pieces of information that we check in milliseconds to verify their eligibility. These things are the pieces of information are first name, last name, school email, and school. So really easy to provide, very privacy friendly to offer. The gated offer program works for these three reasons. The first reason is that it's personal. Because it's limited to a specific group, you are recognizing something that the person strongly identifies with. In this case, being a teacher. And as we know, teachers have a lot of pride in their work and their dedication and community to their classroom and service. And so you're tapping into that power. The second thing is because it's personal and you're marketing it to a specific group, it's highly shared. People typically share the offer with other people in their, what we call tribe. In fact, as I mentioned in our study, 84% of teachers said they share a teacher offer with other teachers, and 83% said they choose a brand over a competing brand if that brand offers a teacher promotion. So that's a huge driver. And then the last piece is exclusivity. Because it's limited to a specific group for a specific time, it drives action. And we polled dozens of customers asking them what their typical conversion rate is on a gated exclusive offer compared to their next best promotion. And they typically see a 3x lift in terms of conversion. And we attributed that to its exclusivity and the scarcity that exclusivity provides. Okay, now let's take a look at the second best practice. And the second best practice is really all about who is the person on the other end so that you can align your messaging and your imagery to best resonate with who you're trying to connect with. So we're going to look at their demographics. According to a recent study by the National Teacher and Principal Survey that involved over 40,000 teachers around the country, they found that the typical teacher is a woman that's 42 years of age, has been teaching for the past 14 years, is typically white, although that's shifting as more Hispanics are becoming teachers. That's now up to 9% of the teacher workforce. And last but not least, teachers are extremely dedicated to their classroom, as we've talked about, logging in over 53 hours per week on their class. So here we can get a picture now of who teachers are on the other end that we can use to build messaging in our campaigns, which leads us to our next best practice, messaging. So as you're thinking about messaging, we like to break it down into two very distinct elements. The messaging campaigns that work particularly well do two things well. The first thing is they speak to the teachers, to the dedication that teachers have in their classroom and their community. It's not all about the discount. Of course, the discount is important, but it's not all about the discount. Typically, speaking to teachers' service and their care that they have with their classroom, in this case, the TOMS campaign, where they are talking about leading with love, or Sprint's campaign that uses a call to arms message of classes in session. And you can see how they use complementary imagery to boot, to show teachers in action and to show that they understand what's important and what teachers really care about. Now, we do know that discounts are important, so that is the second element to consider as you're building out your campaign, being very clear on what the discount is, what the discount rate is, and when it's active. Once you have a message in place, it's about getting the message out. And one very powerful way is really activating word of mouth. As I stated earlier, teachers are very active on social. and they share their offer with other teachers. So you want to make it easy for them to share your offer with their peers. In a recent study of social use, 90% of teachers said they regularly use Twitter to keep up on the latest teaching methods and their overall professional development, as teachers are going to Twitter to share best practices and tips on how they can hone their craft. Using Twitter to share your offer, like in this case, like Target did in their back to school campaign last year, is a good way to promote sharing and allowing teachers to activate their network and expand your reach. You can also use it as a lead generation source for education materials, as Tableau did. Tableau is a software company that provides reporting, a very powerful reporting tool for their students and educators so that they can create education campaigns and educate them on how to use their software as students are entering the workforce. And you can see here how Tableau uses common hashtags to make sure they are easily found. Now here's a list of popular hashtags that we recommend brands use in reaching teachers on Twitter and Instagram. Definitely research each of these for yourself to see where you want to include your brand voice and what makes the most sense based off of the type of program that you're creating. And don't worry about scribbling this down too quickly because, as Kelly mentioned, we're going to send the presentation out afterwards. Okay, so that's a great segue. So now let's talk about our next section on seasonal campaigns. Many segments have specific times of the year that where they are recognized. National holidays, different remembrances that we have in our seasonal calendar to recognize a specific individual or role in our community. Teachers are no different. There are 2 natural times per year to run a campaign. These are great opportunities. If you haven't run a campaign yet, these are great opportunities to build your first campaign and reach out to teachers, because this is when teachers are looking for these types of promotions. There is Teacher Appreciation Day, which is coming up in just a couple of weeks on May 7th, which also extends into Teacher Appreciation Week, depending upon how you want to recognize it and what type of promotion you want to run. If it's just for the day or maybe it's for the week. We've even seen brands do things like Teacher Appreciation Month. And so that's a different approach that you can take. And the second time of the year is back to school campaign. As I mentioned, Target ran their back to school campaign last year and had really good success. Back to school typically starts in July and runs through September. And this is a great time to reach out to teachers. As we talked about earlier, 92% of teachers use promotions and discounts on school supplies. So this is a time when they're thinking about school supplies as they're getting their classrooms restocked and ready for the coming year. Now, these promotions can be run once or ongoing. It really depends on what your strategy is. For example, Target ran their back-to-school campaign last year. It's the first time they ran such a promotion, and they had a really strong response as their promotion was covered in many news publications around the country. One-time promotions are great opportunities to drive action. Because it's only available once or possibly twice throughout the year, brands typically see a big spike in traffic from teachers because there's limited supply. And with that data, if they capture it, they have that ability to re-engage them during normal shopping periods as well. Then there are what we call evergreen promotions. And these are great for both acquisition and retention. And they run throughout the year. This is typically done by brands that want to make an ongoing commitment to a group, like teachers, with an always available promotion. For example, as I mentioned earlier, Tableau software They have a multi-pronged program where they provide teachers with a free license to their software, as well as training materials, so they can educate their students on their software, so that when they enter the workforce, they can are familiar with their software, which could potentially influence future buying decisions. In addition to timing, there's also the type of promotion to consider. We also asked this in our survey. We asked teachers, what types of offers and promotions get their attention? And you can see it's not always a discount. Free shipping rose to the top, speaking to convenience and just taking away any care or risk that a teacher might have. Followed by a bigger discount for a single product, and coming up in close third is an everyday discount for more than one product or maybe all products. So those are a couple of different techniques to think about as you're considering the type of promotion and discount and when to run your campaign. So the next best practice is, how do you amplify it? How do you get it out? You know, is a teacher promotion just something you need to promote on your social channel, or maybe send out to your email list, or is there more to it? Or maybe is it just where you promote something in an affiliate channel? I like to bring up Lowe's, and granted, this is an example that isn't specifically focused on teachers. It's actually focused on a promotion that they ran with the military, but I think it's really instructive on what you can do well. So the most successful promotions that we see are those that are multi-pronged across channels. The cornerstone of the Lowe's program is tying the promotion to their loyalty program, which is called the My Lowe's card. This makes it easy for customers to purchase on any channel. And once the customer has verified eligibility, it's attached to the loyalty card so that wherever they make a purchase, the promotion is applied. This also adds the customer attribute to the Lowe's database, so they can market to them in the future and continue the brand relationship. And that's not all. Lowe's also marketed to their own customer base through their earned channels, like their blog, to raise awareness. And they also went out and purchased broadcast media, in this case radio, to get the word out, because they were making a deeper commitment to that audience. Lowe's has a very strong tradition in supporting the military, and they wanted to make that well known across the country. So in addition to the promotion strategy, there's also your promotion online. And there are a number of ways, really kind of subtle ways in which you can promote your offer on your website to get attention. One natural place to add your offer, in addition to your landing page or other promotional spots on your site, is in the footer of your website page template. This gives you an evergreen placement on your site that site visitors will find as they search around on your site. And as I mentioned, typically, if somebody's within that segment and you have your core segments, military students, teachers, they'll look, if they're already a brand loyalist, they'll look to see if you're recognizing them with their promotion and either type that into an organic search, or they'll look for it on your site, and the footer is a good place for them to find that. Putting it in the footer also increases your SEO juice, as there are multiple links pointing to your promotional asset. Another is through the verification form. You can add a simple opt-in checkbox for the customer to be entered into your marketing database. And a third is relevant product pages, like Nike has done with students in this case. This is a good way to let an eligible customer know that you have a program just for them while they're in the buying decision. And remember, these types of offers are usually shared with your target segment. So making one person aware of the offer typically has a ripple effect as they share it within their network, increasing awareness and increasing traffic. And as we covered already, but you can never emphasize enough, you also want to share it in your social posts to really activate your network. All right, so those are our 7 best practices. Hopefully there were some helpful tips that you can take away from that. Now I want to take a quick look at Tom's gated offer program to give you a sense of the types of results that you can see. Tom's built a program for teachers along with other segments like military and students, and their goals were to attract new customers. They wanted to improve their online conversions, to improve their marketing efficiency. And as we know, Tom's is a mission-driven company, right? They came up with that one-for-one campaign. For every shoe you purchase, they donate a shoe to somebody that's in need. So they have a strong history of corporate responsibility, and they wanted to look for a way that they were also giving back to members of their community that were pillars of the community. So here's a quick example of what they did, right? They created the segment, they developed the landing page, they marketed it through email, social influencers, they drove people to their site, verified eligibility, presented their rewards, and then they remarketed to customers to extend the brand relationship. All the best practices that we've been talking about. And here are the types of results that they saw. Right, 46% of the people that responded were brand new customers to file, so they had a huge acquisition inflow. 10% of purchases on their online site were from these segments, which was a big jump for them as they were building on their online channel. So a huge driver for them, which resulted in a 20-to-1 return on ad spend. So they saw great return from these types of promotions, which really speaks again to the power of building a gated exclusive offer, limiting the amount of, limiting the who the offer is good for or is focused on, so that the person on the other end really feels that it's highly personalized, they're in control of opting into the offer, and then they get that sharing benefit. Okay, we're coming up on the hour here, so I want to leave you with 4 final thoughts before we go to questions. The first one is, it's just good business to recognize teachers. It's good for the community, it's good for your business. Teachers need the support, as we saw from the data. It's getting harder for them to supply the necessary supplies for their classroom. So they recognize brands that step up and show them some love, and that gets reciprocated. So there's a huge opportunity for brands that do that. It gets reciprocated with their dollars, but it also activates their social capital. So think about this more than selling to one person. Think about this as a program that sells to their tribe. And the third piece is create true loyalty with a group by holding an evergreen offer. Tom's results show the benefits you can see, the ongoing benefits that you can see when you go deep with a community. And then to ramp up engagement and really get action, use exclusivity. Scarcity is a great motivator for initial engagement and ultimately creates virality with referrals. So there's a lot of opportunity here with these types of programs. Okay, so I'm going to turn it back over to Kelly, and we'll take Q&A.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Bill. Thanks for sharing your insights with us. I really appreciate it. We did have a few questions throughout the session, so thank you for sharing those. If you have any additional ones, please keep them coming. We will answer as many as we can. I know we are up on the half hour, so maybe let's just do 2 or 3, and we can always follow up individually.
Sure.
So easy question, softball question. When is Teacher Appreciation Week again?
So Teacher Appreciation Week is first week of May. Coming up May 5th, I believe is the date. May 9th. Yeah. May 9th, sorry. Yeah. Great time. Coming up quickly. Great time to try out a campaign, see what kind of response you get. And if not, this year, definitely think about it next year as you're building out your marketing programs next year.
Right, and you said also back to school in the summertime, so if you can't get around to Teacher Appreciation Week, you can always do back to school. Can you talk to me a little bit about how fast the verification process is for Share ID? Is it instant or?
Yeah, so the verification that we offer is instant verification. We have very broad coverage in the teacher segment. Over 99% of teachers are verified through the authoritative data sources that we are connected to. So our main focus is to make the verification step as frictionless as possible, that is built into your brand experience, into your website experience to optimize conversion.
Perfect, thanks. And you answered that other question. Someone asked what type of coverage do you have, but I heard you say 99%, so almost full coverage. Is that both private, public school teachers or?
Yep, it's both for private and public school teachers. And if we can't find the record through an instant match, we have a quick document review period. So a teacher can upload a document, submit their credentials, and we have people standing by that will typically verify their eligibility in a matter of minutes.
Perfect. Well, I do want to be aware of everyone's time. We are 2 minutes over. So any additional questions, we will follow up personally. As I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, an email with the slides as well as the recorded version will be sent out within the next few business days. Please keep an eye out for a follow-up blog that will be emailed to you as well, recapping the questions asked during the session. A big thank you to Bill today. Thank you for sharing those insights and best practices. And thank you everyone for joining us today. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.